You have only had one problem in your life, and I have your solution. That one problem that you've had is not becoming your authentic self. Now, I know you may think that it seems like you've had all of these other challenges and difficulties and problems that seem to come from all these other places, but if you were your authentic self, then you could solve all of those problems. See, I firmly believe that we were all born equal. We were born with all the skills and talent that any human could use, could need, but we don't always access that. And why don't we access it? Because we're not willing to become our authentic selves. Because we will look around and we're trying to find a model of who we're meant to be and maybe try to find that, except what's really supposed to happen is that you're supposed to become you. You're supposed to become yourself. And that can be difficult for a lot of different reasons. It might be the way that you were born, where you were born, your parents, your families, whatever programming you might have received when you were younger could tell you that maybe you couldn't handle being yourself, that you couldn't accomplish certain things. But when we begin to understand that it's all a mental concept, then we can start to change things, because it is all, we all operate the same way. Every human operates the same way. We have thought, we have consciousness, and then we decide whether or not we're going to use it to access information that could allow us to live really successful lives. And sometimes we don't do that. And I didn't do that for a really long time. But that is why I do the work that I do now, because the work that I'm doing is guiding people to their authentic selves. Because you can't live ultimately successful, happy, and loving unless you're able to do that. God gave you something that you were supposed to bring to the world, that you were supposed to develop, that you were supposed to live, and you're meant to have a wonderful, extraordinary, happy, abundant life. Every single person. But then we stop because we don't want to do the work, you see, because doing the work means, oh, let me look at how I've held myself back. Let me look at why I keep doing the same thing over and over again and receiving the same result, as we've heard many, many times. You know, we've done that. And it's only because we're not willing to take the steps that would cause us to access who we are. Now, I couldn't do that for a long time, but that's the great part, because I started working on this 40 years ago to bring it to a place now where I could give it to others, so others don't have to go through what I did, not being willing to become who you are. Now, mine was a little challenging because I received all this information intuitively. I channeled it. I went into spirit and downloaded this information, and it just kind of, it accumulated over all of these years. And then I still doubted it. I go, how could that have come through me? And then I put a bunch of people in there to see what would happen. And then I say, oh, wow, it did happen. Whatever you have lived in your life, you've gained value. You have something that has caused you to become so much more valuable and worth more than you ever were before, every single person. But we don't always know we've done that. I didn't know I had created what I did, what I had within me, but that's how great works are created. Now, I'm talking about that specifically because we're at a different time in our world. We go through evolutionary changes in our lives, but also in the world, and that's what's happening now. And I was aware of this particular change that we would be moving through, and many of you might have seen that I've written about all of these events over the last few years before they actually occurred, because I had a sense of what was happening. But I didn't know how I received that. I didn't know for the longest time that I was this mystic and I could receive information, and that because of that I created a philosophy. And that philosophy says that every single person is born with everything they need to live a happy, successful life. They just need guidance to uncover what that is and to change their minds with neuroscience to have them accept what that is that they've been given so they can live that life. That's all it is. This is why recently I changed the name of my program to Your Last Development Program, because I saw, wait a minute, I have everything that anyone could possibly need to move through anything in their lives. They just have to be willing to do the work. And I could say that and give them a guarantee, and you still won't do it. Again, that's programming, because you think that couldn't be true. Something is, it's too good to be true. This couldn't happen. I couldn't sit down and do this work every day and change my life. Yeah, you could. I was speaking to someone in my program today, yesterday actually, and she's a busy executive, so she travels a lot, so she's not doing it every single day as a lot of the people. And so, but she said every time she gets to sit down to do it, somehow it shifts her. That's what happens. Then another person today who is a graduate of the program actually sent me a message today saying, is your program like therapy? I go, in a sense it is, because that's all we're doing is uncovering. That's what you do when you go to therapy. You're asking yourself, you're being asked questions, and then you're coming up with the answers, and then you decide whether or not you're going to believe them and to start to live who you're supposed to be. That's all that it ever is. But I will tell you, every single difficulty that you've experienced in your life has one source. Now, many of them are good for you because you wanted to move through these difficulties. You wanted to uncover them. You wanted to heal them in some way. So those things are great. But then when you don't understand what you've done, you don't get the value from that. So I have you understand the value of who you are. And then you start to discover, I am this unique being that came into the world with this plan that I'm supposed to live. And if I do that, I'm going to have everything that I want. And I'm telling you that's true for every single person. And it took me forever to figure it out. You don't have to take that long. And this is, again, why I guarantee my work, because I know that it will work, and you will come away knowing who you are, having a greater sense of your life purpose, being willing to work through your restrictions, your limitations, because you've created them all in your thinking. And as you do that in this methodical way, going through it every day, you change your mind, and then you change your life. That's all it is. And that is solving your one problem of becoming your authentic self.